So, in a different story tonight, this weekend, about 100 area World War II veterans will take the trip of a lifetime. They're headed to Washington, D.C. to see the World War II Memorial on the second mission of the Freedom Honor Flight. New at 10 tonight, News Channel 8's Mike Thompson now joins us live with one veteran's story.
Well, Martha, Freedom Honor Flight is an organization that flies veterans free of charge to see their memorial in D.C. The first mission took off last October, and now another group of World War II vets is getting the chance to go. It's something most of these veterans wouldn't be able to do on their own.
My time as a leader of the platoon after I lost my lieutenant.
Like many World War II veterans, 87-year-old Harold Bartig of La Crosse, known by most as Bones, is not one to brag about his service to our country.
I always say that I just look up to these guys that made the landing at Omaha and beaches over in Pacific.
A small area on a spare bedroom wall is all that holds the memories of his time in the war.
I guess a lot of people have, better displays, but this is mine. So
Bones enlisted in the Army in 1942 at the age of 22.
They had signed up for the draft, but I knew I was going to get taken, so I went, and when I was going to school in Minneapolis, I went and enlisted.
Bones would spend the next few years at several different military bases around the U.S., training for combat. Then came word of the Battle of the Bulge, and on March 2nd, 1945, the 386th Infantry, 3rd Battalion, Company L, landed in France, although they would never reach the battle.
You were thinking about maybe being in combat sooner than we were, and you were a little bit scared. I don't think I was too scared, but you thought about things like that.
Bones and his company moved across Germany towards Czechoslovakia near the end of the war. He was just 22 years old, but in charge of 40 guys.
Last part of the war, where we was in a rear pocket, we made a lot of miles in a day until you would hit some resistance.
When the war ended in May of 45, Bones and his company were sent back to the U.S. On his 30-day furlough, his oldest son was born. The meeting was short-lived, however. At the end of his furlough, he was headed back to North Carolina to regroup, and not long after, he was sent to Japan.
It was 2 days out to sea, and I could have stayed at home because I had enough points, and it was a point system, and I had a child, and I guess my rank was a little bit help.
Now, more than 60 years later, Bones is getting a chance to see a tribute to his service, a trip on the Freedom Honor Flight to the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C.
I think it's great. I thought it might have been going on the first one, but then I found out that there was other fellows that they had to take first, and that's fine.
It's a trip his wife, who passed away last September, would have wanted him to take.
She'd have been on me to go, tell me to get going.
A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see a tribute to not only his service, but that of millions of his comrades.
Spent 3.5 years, helping gain freedom for this country, and I hope that stays that way.
And you can help recognize a veteran's service to our country by welcoming the Freedom Honor Flight back to La Crosse from Washington, D.C. Saturday night. It's part of an entire weekend of events called Freedom Fest, also including the Deke Slayton Air Fest and the Veterans Memorial Motorcycle Ride. The Freedom Honor Flight is expected to arrive at the La Crosse Airport around 11 o'clock Saturday night.